Hey now, I got one of my favorites for you today. This is the Nigerian sweet potato red lentil nut stew. This one involves a lot of different ingredients. It takes a little work, but this is one of the nicest stews you're ever going to run into. It's a time where we're thinking about being at home a lot. A lot of people are stuck at home a lot. And stews and soups are one of the best ways to make sure you get all your nutrition in. Or sometimes you just use what you got in the kitchen. With this one, you got to plan ahead, and I'm going to show you why, because there's a lot of ingredients. I'm going to show you the ingredients, and then I'm going to put the list up instead of the ingredients. Then I'll show you how to do it, but I'm telling you, this stew is one of the best meals ever. You can eat it out of a bowl like it is. You can put it on rice. You can put it on top of couscous or whatever. It's a great, great dish. Check this out. Alright, so I'm going to give you a list of everything I got up here, but we'll just look real quick, put it in your mind, and then I'll put the list up. So of course we got the famous sweet potatoes cut up into pretty large pieces right here. We got some fresh grated organic coconut. We got coconut oil. We got, in this case, sun-dried chopped tomatoes. We got turmeric. We got classic tomato sauce. I got basil in mine. You can just use tomato sauce. We have a cup of red lentils. We have sugar. We have, this is vegetable broth in the back here. That's probably about 12 ounces or so. Canned coconut milk. Got cinnamon. Got cayenne pepper. We got clove. We got peanut butter. We got kale over there. We got some peanuts right here. We got some onions chopped up right here. We got some fresh garlic and fresh ginger right here. And the only thing else I'm going to add is cumin. So that's the whole list, and then we'll show you how we do it. Alrighty, let's rock and roll. So I started out, I put the vegetable broth into the pan. I'm turning it on. I'm going to bring the heat up on that first. Once I get that hot, I'm going to put the peanut butter in and start to dissolve the peanut butter in. And then after that, I'm going to put in the sweet potatoes. So we're going to get this hot first. I'm going to dissolve the peanut butter in first. Alright, so the broth is getting pretty hot, so I'm going to go ahead and add this peanut butter. Interesting thing about peanut butter is a lot of people don't realize that peanut butter dissolves into water that's hot very well. It's going to expand, and it's going to kind of make this water thicken out. So we're going to put that in. We're going to let the heat keep going. And then, now I got that in there, I'm going to next add in the coconut milk. Yeah, so this is going to be good. So the coconut got stuck in the can here a little bit, so bring that on out of here. Go. So I'm going to dissolve that down first. Alright, so the coconut, the vegetable broth, and the peanut butter is doing pretty well. So I'm going to go ahead now and put my sweet potatoes in, because I want my sweet potatoes to get soft while this is all cooking. Won't take that long. So I'm going to put them in so they can start cooking, and I'm going to be adding everything else to this broth. Yep, it's coming along now. That peanut butter is going to continue to thicken up. So I got the peanut butter in there. Now I'm going to add fresh peanuts to that. Those peanuts are going to soften up and blend right into this. Now that I got that going, I'm going to add in my chopped onions. My ginger and my garlic. I'm going to let that all cook together for a minute, get those flavors started. I'm going to add in probably maybe a half a cup of tomato sauce. Now, I'll come back to that in a minute, but I want to get that in there and get it started. Then I'm going to bring the temperature down and put this on a slow cook. And once I get my potatoes a little softer, I'm going to go ahead and put the tomato sauce in there. Alright, so that's starting to stew. So next, I'm going to pull in my red lentils. I'm going to put about half of what I got right there because red lentils will cook very quickly and they'll also spread out quite a bit. I don't want to put too many in there. So I'm going to put those in and see how they do. I guess I can put a little more in there after all. Yeah. So those will stretch out. So basically you have a potato stew that's also partially a lentil stew. So the red lentils and the sweet potatoes, of course, provide incredible nutrition. And then, of course, everything else is really about flavor until I get the green food in there, which will also add nutrition. So while I got that going, I'm going to put a little bit of salt. This is sea salt I'm putting in here. I'm going to add in a little sugar. Bring the flavor out of the peanut and the coconut. I'm going to add in coconut oil. Slow this down some. You want it to simmer and stew, not to boil out and lose all your flavor. Won't take long. Now with that, we got a little black pepper we're going to throw in there. We got a spoon or so of turmeric. Same for cumin. I'm going to drop a little cinnamon on it. I'm going to add clove. And then a little cayenne pepper. So yeah, now all of that's going to simmer together. Now you can see the peanut butter is starting to get a little thicker. And of course, the starch from the lentils will also thicken this up. And the spices got me in the nose. Add in a little more tomato sauce now. And then I'm going to add in the tomatoes. So you don't have to use roasted tomatoes. I just like the flavor. You don't have to. You could just chop up fresh tomatoes and put in there. Just gonna let that simmer. Now I'm gonna add in some fresh coconut. And then we're gonna add in our kale. Now you know kale looks like a lot of kale at first. You could use kale or you can use spinach or both. This kale looks like a lot of kale. By the time it cooks into this, it won't look like as much kale anymore. All the spices got my nose running. See, it's starting to disappear already. I call myself putting quite a bit of kale in here. So you will see that the lentils are starting to show up. They're getting larger and they're breaking open, and the starch from the lentils is thickening up the stew. And of course you're going to cook it as long as you want to. Depends on how soft you want the sweet potatoes. If you want them chunky like I like them kind of chunky, or you can keep cooking until the sweet potatoes become very, very soft and it becomes more of like lentil stew actually. But I like my sweet potatoes to be in clumps for this particular stew. So there's the sweet potato stew. Sweet potato peanut stew. I got room enough in there I can put a little spinach in there, so I think I will. And gonna put just a little bit of cilantro in there. That, my friends, is how it's done. That is the Nigerian sweet potato lentil nut stew. You just let it simmer down a bit. You don't have to cook it much more. Basically want everything to kind of melt into it. Make sure you have the flavor you want in terms of if it's salty enough for you. And you don't want to put too much salt. You don't need, that's one thing about all these flavors in here, you don't need a lot of salt. That, my friends, is how it's done. So I'm just going to let that simmer for a minute. And then chow down.